Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and so we have some news, I guess. So this is kind of weird talking about this, but so James Bond, a character that has been like around forever in media, um, has been now casted in a new movie, but it's not being casted as his source material character. He's being casted not even as a he, but a she. And yeah, well, okay. So here's the thing, guys. I don't really. I'm not. I'm not a James Bond fan or anything like that. I wasn't really. I don't really care. Uh, but this goes along lines with what I said last week about Ariel, because a lot of people are getting up on me about Ariel. I made a video about Ariel, how I felt that the character should be the source material. You know what I mean there? Source material character. Nothing against the actor or actress, whatever there. But I talked about this. And, I got some good feedback, at least on my YouTube video, but I got a lot of hogwash on Instagram when I posted my thoughts on it on Instagram. My whole thing is if a character is already in existence and that's how the character has been, and you're doing this stuff, they should stick to what the character is. The character was written to be black. Keep them as black in the live action format. If they're white, keep them as white in the live action format. That's not racist. That's just wanting to keep the source material consistent. And I think this is really odd that this announcement comes out after the backlash of the Ariel stuff. Was like a week ago that we were talking about the Ariel, the African American live action Ariel controversy that we were talking about. Haley Bailey, Halle Bailey. Um, have nothing against the actor or anything like that. But the character was supposed to be white, redhead, because that's what she was originally, in the movie, and now you see this whole thing with James Bond. Now, I find this funny that a lot of people are coming out with the whole James Bond thing and saying, well, he's fiction. Ariel's fiction. Mermaid's fiction. Superheroes are fiction. Bonds is fiction. Like, all this shit, okay, is fiction. So when you guys say that this character is fiction, it doesn't matter, that logic can literally be applied to any character in existence. Okay, you understand me there? You know what I mean? So, it's just sometimes I just don't get where these people are coming from now. I'm, I just don't understand this crap. You know what I mean there? But my whole take on this is simple. When a character is established a certain way, cast them that way. Because I've heard this whole, well, Halle Bailey had the best audition, for Ariel, right? she had the best audition for Ariel, right? And that's why she was casted. Okay, then when they were casting for Aladdin, right, which they took 4 months to cast, specifically because they wanted to make sure they got someone who correctly fit the description of what Aladdin looked like, right, and what his race was. You could literally apply that logic and say, well, if a black guy, did very well in his audition, had the best audition in Aladdin, for the role of Aladdin, then couldn't he be Aladdin by that same logic? But if we call that and do that, then it would be considered racist, because we're not doing the way it's supposed to be. Now, I've taken a lot of heat for the Ariel thing, but my stance on Ariel still stands. The character should be the way the character was written. And it is the same thing with this whole thing with James Bond. I don't really care about James Bond as a character because I never really paid attention to any of that stuff. But this goes to the whole thing, that happened a week ago with Ariel. And you see these new characters that are coming out. These new characters that are coming out, you can do that with new characters, but for these characters that already exist, they were written to be a certain way. They were written to be this way. That is how they were written. That is how they were drawn. So why are we taking the characters and deciding, well, we're going to do this with them? And this doesn't just go on the whole thing. I'm not saying this just about race changing for a white character to a black character. I'm talking about this in general. I'm talking about I'm talking about washing in general. Okay, the changes of race. They did this in Last Airbender. Okay, and I was very critical about that movie. If y'all don't remember, I accused the director of being a racist a few years ago because what he did is he took the waterbenders of Avatar: The Last Airbender and he cast them all as white. Now, the Water Tribe in the cartoon series, people have debated. Like, I always just perceived them as Asian. Someone has debated me that, possibly the Water Tribe were actually Native Americans. But regardless of whether they were Native Americans or Asian, still not one of them were casted that way. They were casted as white. So, doesn't matter because it still did not go to the source material. And, the washings in general are very, very bad, no matter what, race it is, because you're taking a character that people have fell in love for so many years. And I've seen some African-American YouTubers talk about this. Some of them have, said the same thing I have said, about this. You're taking characters, and you're basically, people grew up with the character this way, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, well, now we're not going to do it this way anymore. We're going to change it, and we're going to do this, and then we're going to call it diversity. And if you call it diversity, and if you don't call it diversity, and you call it, something else, say, you're if you're against this casting, it's on you. No. First of all, it is not on us. We are paying. Okay, we are paying the money to watch these movies. So if these movies bomb, it's not our fault that they bombed. It is your fault for not doing it the way that people have asked them. One thing I like, even though I'm probably not going to go see this movie because I'm not a Sonic fan, but the director of the Sonic movie accepted the criticism of the terrible trailer that was Sonic. And because of that, the movie is going to be delayed until 2020, February 2020, and it is going to have a new design for Sonic. They're going to try to make it more look like the video game. And that is accepting the accountability that most directors aren't going to do. Most directors aren't going to accept this and do this. And understand, look, we got to do what the fans want, not necessarily what we want. And we're seeing that a lot in these films these days. We're seeing them now with all these films now. So, you know, people need to accept the criticism and just move on. I was attacked on Instagram, okay, for simply talking about Ariel. Oh, she's a fictional character. Doesn't matter if she's a fictional character, because every character in media is fiction. Every character in media is fiction, okay? That logic can be applied to any character. That can be applied to Black Panther. That can be applied to Cyborg. That can be applied to, that can be applied to anime characters. That can be applied to freaking, the shows you watch on television, just the live-action television series. That can be applied to any character. That can be applied to any character in fiction. And that's the problem people don't seem to understand, is when you use that argument has no merit, because that character is a character that was drawn by someone. He was written by someone. That is it. You get what I'm saying, guys? Doesn't make sense. That's what I'm talking about. That is what we are talking about. When we bring this stuff up, some people just don't seem to understand it. But we have nothing. I have nothing against the actors that were casted. If I was in their shoes, who would not want to take a job? When you're an actor, you want to obviously get paid and get money. Because you're doing it for other stuff than that. But obviously, when you're an actor, you want to get a role, because you want to, get in there and do your thing, get that money to help, pay your bills and obviously, get some type of fame and bonus with it as well. But it's the job of these directors and producers to understand that some of this shit just doesn't work. You can get away with some characters with changing sometimes here and there, but at the end of the day, there's so much you can do. There's so much you can do in terms of changing stuff. And it just doesn't work sometimes. And this is going to be another case. I don't see this James Bond movie working. I honestly don't care, because I'm not really a James Bond fan. But I know for a fact that, because this character's been around since I think like the 60s, right? This has been a character around since the 60s. Like, the character, is a generic specific character that was written for so many years as a white dude. It's just a white dude. Like, and it's not even like they're even taking this character and just making it like a man that's black. They're literally changing the character altogether and making her a female now too. Not to mention, as I said in my Ariel films, my Ariel videos, Hollywood has got rid of gingers. There's been multiple ginger characters that have been changed to African Americans for live action. There's only a 2%. There's only 2% of natural There's only a 2% of natural born redheads in the entire world. 2%. 2% of natural redheads in this entire world, okay? And you're recasting all these source material characters that were redheads, that were written to be redheads, and you're changing them. You're changing them to be African Americans or white or whatever. I don't care, whatever the statistic is. But I've seen multiple ones where they've done this, and I just don't understand what's so wrong about redheads. It's not even, no, that's the thing. It's not even blonde. They're not taking like white blondes and changing them. They're just doing it to redheads. It's only redheads. They did it with Starfire too. So, that's my take on this this whole thing with James Bond, because everyone's talking about it. Bond's, obviously he's been played by different actors, but he's always stayed consistent with what he is, though. So, I mean, that's the thing. That's my take on this, guys. I don't know. But Hollywood's getting very, very stingy with some of this stuff. That's all I got to say. It's getting very, very stingy with the way Hollywood is casting these characters. And that's really all I got to say. I'm out. Comment, rate. If you guys like this video, please subscribe. And that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace.